Good morning, and thank you for being generous with your time on a busy morning. Once Jeff gets me set up here, I will jump right into an overview, first of our company and our two projects. And excellent, thank you, Jeff. So, one question I often get when I have these conversations is, how do we get to the point in New Jersey where there are now 3 planned offshore wind farms? Atlantic Shores, Ocean Wind 1, Ocean Wind 2, which we'll get into. We all lead busy lives, and Jeff touched upon it with the Atlantic City electric project. You know, these things come along, and before you know it, you're faced with a proposed project. And like I said, we all are trying to make a living, raise families. And if you ask me where the Phillies stand in the wild card race, I couldn't tell you. So, you know, Jeff touched upon the climate change aspect of it. I'm going to get a little bit more into the specifics of offshore wind itself. So the government policy to foster, support, and encourage the development of offshore wind energy goes back to the Energy Policy Act 2005, which was signed into law by President Bush, and that opened up the federal waters for the development of offshore wind. Fast forward a little bit to 2010, New Jersey passed the Offshore Wind Energy Development Act, was signed into law by Governor Christie. And at the time of the signing, the governor said the reason why he supported the development of offshore wind energy is because he didn't want to have offshore drilling for fossil fuels, whether it be for petroleum or for natural gas, off the coast of New Jersey. And it's a little hard even for me to remember, but you know, a couple years leading up, there were some fuel leaks on the Delaware River. The Horizon fire in the Gulf was a couple years prior to that. So it was that issue of offshore drilling and the potential downside to that, to the environment and to local economies was on the minds of policymakers at that time. So 2010, roughly about that same time, Cape May County developed its energy master plan. That master plan for the county recognized the value of including renewables as part of its portfolio. The plan also acknowledged that New Jersey is uniquely situated to take advantage of offshore wind because of, well, we have a consistent wind flow. It also noted that particularly, Cape May County was well suited because of its geographic location to take advantage of offshore and onshore wind. Shortly thereafter, there was a proposal to develop a wind farm in the Delaware Bay that didn't get too far. Then a group of investors from the commercial fishing industry, some of whom are in Cape May, decided to create Fisherman's Energy to develop offshore wind off the coast of southern New Jersey. Their initial proposal was a farm of 74 turbines, but they had some growing pains, and then they had proposed to develop a pilot program, I think about 5 turbines, and they wanted to do it in state waters off the coast of Atlantic City. So, you know, the talk and the conversation and the encouragement and the incentive for the development of offshore wind energy has been going on for quite some time. As Jeff touched upon, the Energy Master Plan, which was developed or revised, because every governor has had an Energy Master Plan under the Murphy administration, released in 2019, set specific goals. So the Energy Master Plan, New Jersey, the plan would be to develop 7,500 megawatts of offshore wind energy by 2035. Give you some sense of scale, a megawatt is equal to about 60 million 60-watt light bulbs. And then to give you further sense of scale, there are only about 300,000 streetlights in New York City. So it's a lot of energy. That's the bottom line. So in order to meet the state energy master plan goals, the Murphy administration through the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities sent out a bid solicitation. Basically, they're asking for companies to come in and say, come here to New Jersey, develop an offshore wind energy project. So they sent word around the globe and said, hey, anybody interested in developing a wind farm off the coast of New Jersey, please express your interest, bid, tell us what your ideas are. Orsted, as a global leader in offshore wind energy development, we participated and were awarded in 2019 the first bid solicitation for an offshore wind farm. So, this is about our company. Now, the first thing you'll notice, because you've got that funny looking O, okay, I get this question a lot. Yes, we are a Danish company. Danish company. We're in a world economy, but you know, people in New Jersey have been getting goods and services from Danish companies for years. I was in Dennis Township over Labor Day weekend, and one of those beer wholesaler trucks was driving by, and on the side of it was Carlsberg beer. Echo Shoes, it's a Danish company. They sell shoes locally, DSW. My family and I were in Disney World on vacation and walking down Main Street, and there's a jewelry store, and Pandora Jewelry does Disney jewelry. They're a Danish company. And they also have two stores in Atlantic City. Novo Nordisk, which is probably the world leader when it comes to diabetes treatment. They have a headquarters in New Jersey, another Danish company. And probably the most famous Danish company, if any of you have children, I know you have bought them, Legos. So, yeah. So again, we're in a world economy, and as I'll talk later, we are partnering with local businesses, American businesses, for the development of offshore wind energy. Now, there's an old adage that says, if you have a toothache, do you go to the dentist who just graduated dental school, or do you go to the dentist who's been practicing for a number of years? I go to the dentist who's been practicing for a couple years. As you can see, we're about 30 years. I need to update this slide, I apologize, but 30 years of experience in developing offshore wind projects. Our first one was in 1991. We developed it, and we've actually decommissioned it. Actually, right now, Hornsea is now the world's largest. That's off the coast of England. So we're now at about 1,700 turbines spinning, offshore turbines spinning, in 28 wind farms. So over the past 30 years, we have a pretty decent amount of experience in developing these types of projects and delivering electricity to the grid and to homes and businesses. As I said, we were awarded the first offshore wind energy project at the invitation of the state government. That was in 2019. Now, the dark blue is the lease area. We'll give a closer look at it as I move forward. And Ocean Wind, we are a joint venture with PSEG, which has been in operation in the state of New Jersey for, I think they're over 100 years. They operate the Salem 1, 2, and Hope Creek nuclear facilities in Salem County. They are primarily responsible for the onshore construction and development. We're primarily responsible for the offshore. We do the wet, they do the dry. Now we are, if you look at the bid solicitation, you can look at it as a contract. We're under contract with the state of New Jersey to deliver on average for a year, each year, 1,100 megawatts of energy. So we are responsible for delivering that to New Jersey. And as you can see, it's about 500,000 homes. That's enough energy for that. And we expect commercial operations by the end of 2024. We are making a variety of investments in New Jersey, and I'll go into more details, particularly our operation maintenance facility, Paulsboro Port, and the Pro New Jersey Grand Tour Trust. Let's see if I forgot anything. Yeah, like I said, at the closest point, that wind farm is 15 miles off the coast. The closest point is the Playground Pier in Atlantic City. That's 15 miles. The Ocean City, which gets a lot of attention, that's 15 and a half miles. For the lovely borough of Stone Harbor, you're about 21 miles from the wind farm. I also forgot that. See, this is why I keep notes. Memory is the second thing to go as you get older. I forget what the first thing is. But this goes back again. Again, we are a Danish company, but again, we do have significant investments in the United States. We also have an onshore component, solar facilities. We have onshore farms in Texas and Nebraska. We have solar farms in Texas and Alabama. So we're employing 500 people in the United States in 10 cities. We have 2 offices, one in Atlantic City, one in Newark. Okay, so this is Ocean Wind 2, and again, you can see the dark blue, it's just to the south, Ocean Wind 1. Again, in 2020, the BPU said, look, we want to develop more, sent word out across the globe and said, anybody interested in developing another wind farm, please let us know. We bid on that second solicitation. Atlantic Shores also bid, and in 2021, the BPU awarded those 2 bids, one to Atlantic Shores, one to us in Ocean Wind 2. And as you can see, it's roughly the same number of megawatts. We're going to power the same number of homes. We expect construction to begin in 2028. Because of being awarded the project, we're making additional investments into New Jersey. I will get into those as we move forward. Now, just for your reference, like I said, the dark blue is Ocean Wind 2, the light blue is Ocean Wind 1, although we don't fill all that light blue space. Atlantic Shores is adjacent to the north of Ocean Wind 1. So each of these projects will have, Ocean Wind 1 and Ocean Wind 2 will have a life expectancy of over 25 years. Our contract with the state is 20 years. But as long as they keep working, we will continue to generate electricity. Now, I'm going to ask for your patience and understanding because you may have questions. I'm happy to answer questions on Ocean Wind 1 and Ocean Wind 2. Although for Ocean Wind 2, where we are now is we are developing our what's called the Construction Operations Plan, which is required by the Federal Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. I will try not to use acronyms and try to spell them out for everybody. So exactly what it says, it's a document that says how we're going to build it, how we're going to operate it. So we are currently in the process of doing our due diligence when it comes to Ocean Wind 2. Now, I can give you broad strokes. We expect about the same number of turbines. For Ocean Wind 1, we will have not more than 98 turbines, probably the same amount when it comes to Ocean Wind 2. But we're in the process of doing our due diligence, and that's conducting survey work. In fact, this week, if you're on the 96th Street beach on Tuesday or Friday, you may see 3 to 5 people standing around taking pictures and taking notes. That's us. We've done some ambient sound studies on the beach earlier in the year. We've done some geotechnical surveys on the ocean floor off the coast. So we're trying to figure it out, right? Figure out how the best way to build the thing, operate the thing. Now, in general, what the plan is that Ocean Wind 2, again, will be at that location, but we will connect into the grid by running a cable up the coast of New Jersey, and we're going to come onshore somewhere in Monmouth County. There is a substation in Freehold Township that can handle the wattage, so that's the general plan for Ocean Wind 2. And again, under our commitment to the state of New Jersey, both projects were committed to, one, building a workforce that can work in the offshore wind energy industry. We're starting from scratch. Now, onshore wind, it's been around for a while in the United States, not offshore. So we're building it from the ocean floor up, so to speak. We're making a commitment to encourage businesses to enter the supply chain. Orsted is very big on local content. So anybody has a business in New Jersey particularly that is interested in somehow offering a service or a good, I encourage you, one, to enroll in the New Jersey Economic Development Authority's supply chain portal, Orsted, just Google Orsted procurement portal, register. We do make a concerted effort of looking at companies close to our projects to hire them. Okay, so here's a closer look at Ocean Wind 1. We are connecting into the grid, as you can see, at two locations. The first one is at the former coal-fired plant of BL England, which is in Upper Township, in the Beasley's Point section. That was decommissioned. It had a bad reputation as a polluter. Atlantic City Electric decommissioned it. As Jeff touched upon, there was a proposal a few years ago to run a gas line and make it convert it to a gas-fired energy generation plant. That didn't work. So we proposed to tap into the substation at that location. Like I said, we're supposed to generate 1,100 megawatts. Approximately 400 megawatts would be generated and shipped to BL England. And our second point of interconnection is the former Oyster Creek nuclear facility, which was decommissioned. About 800 megawatts of energy will be transferred into that substation at the former site of that nuclear facility. Now, we are overseen by a number of federal regulatory agencies. The two main state agencies are the Board of Public Utilities and the Department of Environmental Protection. But there is the list of all the agencies that weigh in on our project. So where we are now in the process, we had just completed, or the federal government, I should say, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, just completed its public comment period on our draft environmental impact statement. That period closed after about a 45-day public comment period and 3 virtual hearings. That ended on August 23rd. Look, I trust people to reach their own conclusion, make up their own minds about things. As you educate yourself on our project, offshore wind energy itself, I encourage you. Again, it's pretty simple. You just Google BOEM, Ocean Wind 1, DEIS, Draft Environmental Impact Statement. The information is there. Watch the recorded virtual hearings. Another question I often get when it comes to offshore wind, what about the studies? There should be studies. There should be studies. It is an intimidating document, the Draft Environmental Impact Statement. But that draft environmental impact statement has more footnotes than a shoe store, okay? So there are references to a lot of studies. There are links to the studies that you just click on and read the actual studies themselves. So again, you can reach your own conclusion, do your own research, but that is a resource. That is a resource. Further, while I'm thinking about it, Orsted, we already operate the Block Island wind farm off of Block Island in Rhode Island. It's 3 miles off the island. It's 5 turbines, so we have experience doing that. But we've also built a pilot offshore wind farm off the coast of Virginia. It's operated by Dominion Energy. But again, the purpose of that, again, is to have an operating pilot program wind farm where you can base research on that. Again, if you go to the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, they have a dedicated web page and site for that facility. And again, there's more research that you can find there. I don't want to make it sound like you're working on a doctoral thesis and you're back in college, but I know that there's an interest and a craving for information. So I want to direct you in the right path, where to find it. Okay, and I know, again, from the conversations I've had before, people approach it from different angles. And again, these are PDF online documents. There's a search feature if you're interested in a particular aspect. It's easy, even though the DEIS is 1,400 pages, it's easy to find, the information you're looking for using that search feature. I encourage you to do that. So we completed the draft environmental impact statement. The Bureau of Ocean Energy Management takes all those comments, evaluates them for, they will produce what is called the final environmental impact statement. That'll probably come out in the first quarter of next year. And then about a month later, and this is the federal regulatory timeline, there'll be what's called a record of decision. And that's where the federal agencies say, here is the highest, it establishes the highest, these are their words, the highest practicable level of mitigation measures and safeguards, okay? So they'll probably tell us to make some changes. Maybe, we'll see. But that's what that is for. And then probably the final decision on our federal permits will be summer of 2023, roughly, plus or minus. State permits have to be approved, processed before then, but that's the timeline. So we expect to do onshore construction in 2023, and then again, shortly thereafter, begin offshore construction, and then begin commercial operations starting sometime in 2024, again, to give you some idea of the pathway. So, again, another common question is the layout. It's roughly a grid layout, as you can see. There were 3 iterations of this layout. We gathered stakeholder input, a lot from the fishing industry, the cargo ship industry. Again, one of the biggest concerns is how to traverse a wind farm. So the spacing is going to be 1 nautical mile by 0.8 nautical miles to allow as easy transversing of the wind farm as possible. Again, we do it, we got to touch base with a number of federal agencies like the Coast Guard. Of course, they're big on safety. And then I'll touch on, a service that again, we've invested in to offer commercial boaters. I'll touch upon that a little bit later. Another question, I got this yesterday from a person. Somebody asked, will I be able to fish in the wind farm? Yes, not during construction for obvious reasons, but after construction, during normal operations, recreational fishing, any kind of fishing will be allowed in the wind farm. And in fact, with Block Island being in operation since 2016, we are seeing the evidence, which we thought would play out, is that the foundations for the turbines create artificial reefs, which attract sport fish. And there are companies that have opened their doors in Block Island who host charter boat activity out into the wind farm. The cables offshore cables will be buried about 4 to 6 feet. The cable itself, as you can see, there are 3 cables wrapped into one large conduit. So that's about 12 inches, maybe a little bit more than 12 inches, be buried 4 to 6 feet below to international standards, again, to avoid any complications. Again, for anybody anchoring on them accidentally, you don't want that to happen. When the cables come on shore, they break out those 3 cables, and those cables, again, are about 4 inches wide. I got a question from some neighbors in Lacey Township where we're coming on shore to connect to Oyster Creek. Predominantly, pretty much for the entire route, there's one exception. The cables are onshore are going to be underground. There may be some places where there's some open cut, but predominantly it will be horizontal directional drilling. There will be no overhead wires. On Island Beach State Park, because of the configuration, we have to come up a little bit, but then go right back underground to cross Barnegat Bay. So they'll be no less than 3 feet deep. They'll be wrapped in a plastic conduit encased in concrete. The onshore cables. So we are going to use the General Electric, American company, as I said, the Haliad X. This is the nacelle. The nacelle is the power plant of the wind turbine. Yeah, they're big. They're big. And what you're seeing here is the maximum. They won't be any bigger than this, but you're looking at 900 feet to the tip of the blade. They're very efficient. They generate a lot of electricity. One revolution of the turbine will power a house for 2 days. But this is the equipment that we're going to use. You may hear some people say, so that's the nacelle, the blades, and that's called the monopile. And then the monopile sits on what's called a foundation. Those are the things that are painted yellow for safety reasons. We've made a decision with our projects that we're going to use aircraft detection lights. Of course, for safety reasons, there has to be a light at the top of the turbine for safety reasons. So we're going to use lights that once an aircraft approaches the wind farm, the lights will turn on. Once the aircraft leaves the wind farm, the lights will turn off. If you go to Ocean Wind 1, that's ONE1.com, about our project, you'll have to scroll to the bottom, but we have a video, a simulated video, which shows how that would look at nighttime. Again, I encourage you to look at it so you get an idea of what it is. Now, for navigation purposes, there will be lights at the base, but you won't be able to see those from shore. Again, that's for navigation, boating, safety. As I said, we're making an investment in New Jersey. The port of Paulsboro, which was identified under the New Jersey Offshore Wind Economic Development Act as an ideal location for manufacturing. So they're making these monopiles, and you get a sense of scale by looking at them. Because we have this project, a company called EEW is making an investment. We're chipping in money for the development of the port. So they will be manufacturing monopiles at Paulsboro. So I think we're up to, I forgot what our commitment was. So far we've committed $250 million to the project. During the first phase, there will be about 250 employees. Once it gets fully built out, 500 employees. One of the key jobs are welders, spiral welders, and painters. So these things weigh, oh gosh, they're about 150 tons. So they're pretty big. So what will happen is they'll be manufactured in Paulsboro, they'll be shipped by boat down the Delaware River, where they will end up at the wind port at Salem, which is next door to the nuclear facilities at Salem. So what happens is all the components, as you can see in this rendering, they are laid out. The monopoles, the blades, the nacelle, foundations get loaded up on what's called a jack-up vessel. They are shipped. The monopiles are shipped upright from Salem. So they're put together south of the Delaware Memorial Bridge because you can't go under the bridge if the monopiles are sticking up. From here, they'll go out to the ocean. They will install the turbines in the wind farm lease areas. And again, because of our investment, because we're contracted with General Electric for their nacelles, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority is in negotiations with GE to have them build a facility at the Salem Wind Port. Again, when you look at unemployment figures, historically, South Jersey has lagged behind North Jersey historically. Oftentimes we're twice the rate, particularly on this side of South Jersey because of the dependence on the tourism industry. But again, so the job creation benefits, not just specifically at Salem and Paulsboro, there are ancillary businesses that will grow to support each facility. And again, given our commitment with local content, we hope that most of those go to local businesses. Now that, again, 2023 is when they expect that, and they're looking at 1,500 jobs at the Salem Wind Port. So you have anything from assemblers to dock managers, computer programmers. There's a range of jobs that go along with the work at the port. At the draft environmental impact statement, I'll just share this with you, based on, again, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management's analysis. They concluded from an economic, even though it says draft environmental impact statement, it does cover economic, jobs, and other issues. There will be a notable and measurable benefits to employment, economic output, infrastructure improvements, and community services, especially job training, because of offshore wind energy development. So there's a net economic development. That's their conclusion. I agree with it, of course. Further, we will have an operation and maintenance facility located in Atlantic City. They have, the deep enough water for our ships to get out, our service vessels to get out, reach the wind farm. So for Ocean Wind 1, probably 70 jobs created there. That number will increase because we will have Ocean Wind 2, and we'll have to obviously service that wind farm as well. Again, we're looking for wind technicians, dock workers, schedule managers, computer programmers, all in support of that facility. And again, because offshore wind is coming to New Jersey, again, we have a sizable investment. Atlantic Shores is now investing in it. Atlantic Cape Community College invested, I think it was about $3 million to develop a wind safety training center. It's at their Atlantic City campus. But again, this is to encourage people and build the workforce for the offshore wind industry, not just in New Jersey. Of course, it's a transferable skill and you can work at other facilities. So what would happen, there's a training course, wind safety, it's swimming, climbing heights, it's how to work safely, obviously, in the environment. Graduates of that program would go to Rowan College of South Jersey to learn the wind technician part, which is actually fixing and working and maintaining the nacelles and the structures. Okay, my slides are out of order, but that's okay. Part of our investment in our contract with the state is that we would donate, contribute resources again to help build the industry and provide benefits to the communities of New Jersey. We made a $15 million commitment under Ocean Wind 1, an $8 million commitment under Ocean Wind 2. Ocean Wind 1 and 2 primarily. Again, that money can be used for port development, coastal resiliency projects, workforce development for the offshore wind energy industry, and helping small businesses be able to enter the supply chain. So last year there was a grant award round, as you can read, $450,000 to 6 businesses so they can retool. There was one drone company, so they can make whatever adjustments, offer their services to any offshore wind developer. And then currently the trust is reviewing applications for coastal resiliency projects. Applications were limited to the 3-county area where our immediate footprint is. So hopefully we'll have an announcement, the trust will have an announcement later this fall of those winners. And then again, they'll have other rounds of funding. A broad stroke summary and overview of our footprint and commitments in New Jersey. I already touched upon our ports. We're supporting some development of electronic trucks in Elizabeth. There's a pollution concern by the folks up there, so we're making an investment that they can use these drayage trucks as an alternative. Like I said, we have a Newark office. That's our digital operations for North America are located there. So we've committed to New Jersey Shares, which helps those who have trouble meeting their monthly utility bills. Again, we're funding STEM research, STEM scholarships for New Jersey Institute of Technology. We're funding a program and have a partnership with Rowan University with long-term battery storage. We have some offshore wind education projects with Stockton. Recently, we've announced a partnership for protected species observation training. So when we're building out in the water, we will have these trained folks on our vessels who are trained to look for and alert the construction crews if there are any sea mammals in the area. And of course, we have protocols to shut down activity until the pod of dolphins or the pod of whales pass through, or if there's some harbor seals mucking about, they're trained to look at those. We are also partnering with Rutgers, Woods Hole, Maritime Institute, and the University of Rhode Island for a program called EcoPAM. Basically, again, it is to monitor, track mammals, particularly the northern right whale, and again, to come up with any type of program, again, to avoid harmful impacts to those species. We've contributed $12 million to the Regional Wildlife Monitoring Program, which is part of DEP. That includes a number of species, birds to mammals to fish. But again, the company has wants to be a good corporate neighbor, and these are things that you do as a corporate neighbor. This is the navigation. I know it's a lot of words. It's really brief, but the Navigational Safety Enhancement and Training Program. Again, this is for commercial fishing folks, charter boat folks. It's one, to upgrade radar equipment. We'll have a fund for that. You apply, you can adjust your equipment again so you can navigate safely. We've also invested in a virtual reality simulation at the MyTags. One of those acronyms I can't remember. Down outside of Baltimore. It's a virtual simulation. You get a taste of it right here. We've constructed a virtual simulation of our Ocean Wind 1 wind farm. And as you can see, MyTags has simulated 3 simulated boat captains areas or pilot areas, so people can learn how to navigate using this system safely through our wind farm. Again, a brief overview. Yeah, we are the world leader. I'm proud of it in offshore wind development. You know, if you add things up, we're about $2 billion in in-state spend. Again, trying to create jobs, build the supply chain. We're adding to the local rateable basis while also meeting our clean energy needs. Now, my watch is vibrating, saying that I may be encroaching on your time as an organization. I got about 5 minutes. I leave it up to you, Jeff. You tell me. I follow your thing. But look, I'm happy to answer questions. info@oceanwind.com. info@oceanwind.com. Or you write down a question, you give it to Jeff. Jeff knows where to find me. Again, right. Look, I live here. I live in Atlantic County, but I live in the area. I want to see what's best for our area. I'm invested, so I know how important this issue is to a number of people, and happy, again, to answer questions as best I can about our company and about our projects.
Tom, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So what I want to do in the interest of time, look, we have one more very important topic that we want to get forth, and Tom also has a commitment out of town that he needs to take. So my concern is if I open up to one question, it's going to open up to many. So here's what we're going to do. We have through our website or today ability to collect questions, comments, anything that you have. What our intention is to set up a Q&A session. And remember, all of this is available online. You said, I was kind of fast, I didn't catch some. You can watch all of this presentation again at your leisure from your home. What we intend to do is set up another session specifically for Q&A sometime hopefully in the October timeframe, so that folks will have a chance to ask their questions. I also encourage you is to go to the Orsted website. They have the Ocean City session, albeit almost a year ago, but I would be hard-pressed to say that any question you guys might have wasn't asked at that meeting. And so you can also get some more information there. But as Rich said at the outset, our purpose from SHPOA is not at this point to take a position. We're trying to get information out. So this was the first start today. And so we welcome any of your questions. You can send stuff to us at the email sites, but hopefully you'll be able to participate along with friends, family, and whomever at our next session. So with no further ado, I would like to switch over to our last topic, which is a very important one. And Rich is signaling me that he has something to say while I switch the slides.